A very good evening, everyone. And we are now live on the very first episode of what we are going to have every week from now onwards, a global empathy circle. Ask me what my dream was for many years, and I would say it was this a global empathy circle. There's so much that we talk about, and especially now we are live on social media, and there's so much we talk about in social media. And yet there is so much we don't talk about. There's so much we hide. There's so much we think is only happening to just us. The intention today with this global empathy circle is exactly that, to make you feel, to make us feel, to make all of us feel and be assured that we are not alone in it. Starting today, every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. India time, we would come together, a few women from across the globe, and soon enough you will know who they are, and they are really across the globe. We will come together and pick up one topic, and we will talk about it, and we will talk about our personal journeys through our lives, our realizations, our insights that would hopefully also bind you with some realization and some insight from your own life. Global Empathy Circle, starting today. Our first topic today is emotional resilience. Before that, let me also quickly introduce myself. I am Shinjini Sengupta. I am the National President of the Mentoring and Soft Skills at WICI, the Women Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I'm also the founder of Lighthouse, where I teach authentic storytelling, joyful change making, and creative leadership. Together with all of us, we hold hands and we walk each other home. And today we will do just that, walk each other home. Susan is going to be the hostess for today. The emotional resilience and how it applies, how it matters, how it is so critical, especially today, now that we are locked down globally, is something that she will explore with all six of us. Susan, over to you, and all the very best for bringing in a lot of resilience and a lot of empathy with all of us.
Thank you, Sinjini. And thank you to these beautiful, oh gosh, it's me, beautiful ladies around the world. And we really are coming to you from around the world. We have Australia, we have the UK, we have India, all represented on this global empathy circle. But what are we talking about today? Emotional resilience. Let me start by asking all of you out there just some questions. Have you ever lost someone you love? Have you ever had to deal with heartache, divorce? Have you ever been on your knees because the rug got swept beneath you? Or maybe, have you ever been bullied? Have you ever been made redundant? Have you ever had to deal with infertility, natural disasters? Have you ever had to deal with mental health issues for yourself or a family loved one? Suicide, dementia. Adversity doesn't discriminate. It will affect every single one of us. And I can rest assured, those questions that I ask, can the six ladies on here just raise a hand if you have been affected by any one of those things? Every single one of us. How did we cope? How do we get through? Because one thing in life, there is suffering. There is times where we get down on our knees. But how do we get through? Because the beauty of being human, we have resilience. And there are tips and there are tricks. And you do have some control over how to get through that. And particularly in this year where lockdown has affected many people with a lot of those things. A lot of relationships have broken up. There's been loads of abuse. People have lost their jobs, their homes. It seems relentless. It seems one thing after another. But let's go to these beautiful people around the world and let's ask them those questions, that when they were in their tough times, what helped them? What things helped them get through? Because isn't it great when you know you're not the only one going through this? And isn't it even better if you can be equipped with life skills that can get you through this moment? Welcome to you beautiful ladies. And we're going to start with going over to Australia. And this is Cecilia from Australia. Woo! Talk to us, Cecilia. Have you ever been through anything that you could share with us, your tips, your tricks of what can we do?
Okay, well, I've been through an awful lot of those different subject matters that you've had, and a lot through the work that I do. So I've supported many people in the same way as I've had to support myself. And I would say the work I do is doing spiritual counselling and natural healing. And with that, I find that my connection with a sense of something greater than myself, a higher force, helps, and it helps me stay aligned and connected. When with my work, I see myself so lucky because I hear everybody else going through the same thing, so I know I'm not alone. Whereas other people don't know that. They are singularly moving through it and feeling as though they're completely on their own. So for me, I've been able to be a spokeswoman for all the other people I see to say, well, you're definitely not alone because of all the stories I hear. But for myself personally, my really strong connection to nature really helps. So for me, if it's to sit outside under a tree when all the human chaos in the world is going on and you can't make sense of the human relationships that are derailing, when there's death and sorrow in the family, a lot of families going to chaos together, all of those things, you can't make sense of why are people acting the way they are. So for me, I found sitting in nature has been one of the most aligning and peaceful spaces, because nature doesn't change, it just sits and witnesses. So it helps me sit and witness myself going through those different emotions as well. On the active side of things, it's dancing, music and dance. For me, I found, especially in the last few years, where I've had more opportunity before lockdown to do a lot of dancing, I have actually found the movement and the power of the dance moving through the body has actually helped release a lot of the pain and different sorrows that have come up. So I lost my mum a couple of years ago and then had to, do the whole funeral pretty single-handedly in a lot of ways. And then I've had some people I know that have suicided and having to move through the grief of that, as well as supporting their family members, has been really intense. Young people dying with unknown things. It's been quite a long list, and I know I'm not the only one with that long list in the last 4 years. So for me, prior to lockdown, the dancing was a big thing, and I still dance when I was in lockdown. We're here in Australia, or I'm in Queensland, the lockdown's not as severe. It still is in Melbourne. So there are still a lot of people suffering in that situation. So the next thing that really has helped me is one, meditation, and music as in playing guitar. So I could be solo, working through my own system of going into an inner peace and inner silence. And it's those things that have really helped me to stay, sane and reliable and strong for other people as well as for myself. So it's been an interesting journey. Indeed.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. And it's amazing actually that we find these things, like I'm sitting totally across the world from you, yet I would say nature has been a massive influence in myself when time has been hard, and how that maybe we didn't connect before, yet we are doing some of the same stuff as well to try and reset ourselves. So that's fantastic. With the dancing, are you dancing alone? Are you in a group? Are you like online? And sort of, how does it? Should we just put some music on and dance ourselves? Is that?
Well, certainly. Yeah. Just dance alone by yourself, and that way you'll find that you'll be the most free in your body movements. I'm lucky I am pretty free in my body movements no matter who's around, and that's a bit of a liberation in my personality. those who don't feel that, I think being alone in the house and just cranking up that music and letting your body move is going to help push and pull where energy is blocked, where emotions are feeling low and stayed. It actually starts to bring the chemicals up in the brain, increases the happy chemicals, so it can lift off some of that more intensive, low level, depressive feeling at times when you're moving through different griefs and events.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And I definitely agree with you that, you know, so many of us don't dance freely when other people are watching. It's a skill. It's a skill to learn. Thank you, Celia. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So let's go over to Nidhi, who's sitting in India. Nidhi, I'd like you to share with us, what's your advice on this subject? If you could unmute yourself first.
Yeah, yes. Okay, thank you, Susan. See, pain is something I'm currently going through too. But there have been so many incidents in your life. Having lived 53 years of my life, every stage you encounter challenges, you encounter physical pain, you encounter emotional pain, and there are so many things that are happening in your head, in your heart, in your body, that every moment living through it is a challenge. And when you're faced with the challenge, it always feels like you are cornered or you're pushed against the wall, and you need to do. You're actually not. You're not in a position to think as to how to deal with those challenges, and then you beat around the bush, and then you try everything that is possible under the sky to just face that challenge. And at the end of it, you only realize that things happen because they've got to happen. And I wouldn't say that it's resignation that helps you. It's always waiting for the outcome that is meant to be. It's always like that. There is a specific outcome that's designed, that is there as your destiny or whatever you call it. And when you have that kind of an acceptance, we may at that point of time when we are facing the challenge feel that it is something that's going wrong only around you, and you are the one who is faced with all those problems. But then at the end of the day, and when you just even if you don't come out of it, it's the feeling around you, it's the cosmic energy that comes around, your friends, your family, the emotions, the prayers, the energies around you that help you pull out from a particular situation. So there have been because life has to be the way it's meant to be. So you will definitely face challenges, but as and when the challenges come, we should always. That is what I have learned over the years. Because when things happen, for things which you are not ready for, it takes time for you to accept. But then that acceptance too comes through your living through it. And for me, the reading of the Gita has helped me a lot, because I have felt at times that whichever pages, I have this habit of flipping through the pages and just opening any section of it. And wherever I come across whatever couplet, I just read it, and the meaning and the translation that is there along with it. And somehow I feel that the answers are there around you, the answers to problems, the answers to, even if they are not problems, even if they are situations that are very supportive, or situations which you are in line with, well aligned with, even in those situations, you are always looking for answers as to why in a particular time things have to happen in a positive way. The same situation, the same set of background, the same set of your prayers or your meditation, you are engaged in the same set of situations, but the situations are different. If you are faced with positive and negative both, it is a balance that the cosmos itself feels. And that acceptance is what pulls you through all these situations, whether they're positive or negative. So I feel this is what I have learned through all those experiences that I have had, even the negative ones, where I have felt pushed against the wall, or maybe I have felt that this is the end of it and there's nothing that is left in life to live for. But then the situations themselves pull you out of it. And that is a great learning where you can actually support people and tell them or help them out of situations because you have experienced all those situations.
That's
That is
wonderful. Thank you so much. And I totally agree in the aspect of, you know, having faith in something bigger than yourself, having faith that the universe is doing exactly what it needs to be doing, and coming to acceptance in those three areas. It's just wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So I'd love to go over to Siobhan, who's sitting in Manchester in the UK. Proper lockdown where you are.
Proper lockdown.
Proper
troops
lockdown.
Troops up the road and everything we've got, so we're definitely in lockdown. What I was going to say was, because of the nature of my work, as I work in substance misuse services, and obviously through the lockdown period we've seen a significant rise in domestic abuse, and we've seen a significant rise in suicide because of, you know, people's support networks are taken away. But one of the things that we do is we work in what's called like a trauma-informed way, and we look at the adverse childhood experiences that people have had, and those are quite an indicator for how much or how well people's emotional resilience is going to work when they're adults. So if you've had a number of adverse childhood experiences, that could be one of the major contributing factors why you start to use drugs or why you get involved in committing crimes and things. And there's been a massive, in the last sort of like 5 to 10 years, a massive amount of research and work that's been put into understanding this. And the one thing, and some people have all these adverse childhood experiences and then they go on to perpetuate that behaviour. So they'll become abusers, or they'll take drugs, or they'll become involved in crime. Some people have all the same adverse childhood experiences and don't. They go on to kind of like formulate their life and live their life. And there's only one thing, when all the research has been done, there's only one thing that happened differently to those people who do go on to show emotional resilience and those people who do go on to not perpetuate those behaviours. And that was the kind words of somebody when they were young. And every single person that does not go on to perpetuate those harming behaviours said at some point, whether it was a social worker, a police officer, a probation officer, somebody said something kind to them. Someone said something that said, you know what, I know all this awful stuff's going on for you, but you're different. You can live differently. You look at this, you're really good at playing the guitar, or you're really good at football, or you're really good at English. Somebody somewhere along, and it might only have been once, and that's how important it is that once somebody who they kind of looked up to, who came from a more authority figure or from a higher up in the family figure, said something kind to them. And that's the thing that made them go on to make a difference and a change in their lives. So I think, for one, the thing for me is that we don't always understand how powerful the kind words that we would say to somebody would be. And although we're talking about this as a childhood thing, but you can do this at any time. Those kind words will make a difference to somebody at absolutely any point. And from my own experience, working with people who are saying that they're going to take their lives, everybody goes, don't talk about it, don't talk about it, don't talk about it, talk about it, absolutely talk about it to that person, ask them why, ask them what their plans are, ask them why they want to do it. Because when you start asking people start to realise, actually, I do have my nan who's 87 who really, really loves me. All the time I thought I didn't have anybody. So it's about connecting people to what's important to them. And I think you can do that for yourself as well. I think when times get tough, it's about connecting to the things that are important to you. So like Celia said, like nature, if that's whatever it is that's important to you, you know, be kind to others, but be kind to yourself and connect to the thing that's important to you, the thing that matters to you. Do something that involves you with other people, because especially in lockdown at the moment, the worst thing for everybody's mental health is being disconnected from the people that they love or that they care about. I joined an online book club, and you know, like, you meet people that I would never have met under any other circumstances, because they don't live near me, they're not in my work circle, they're not in my normal friend circle. But we vote every month and we choose a book that we're going to read, and we all read it, and then you meet up once a month online and you talk about it. And it's just an activity that you're doing with a lot of people, although you're doing it in your house on your own. So I think it's looking for those opportunities to be kind and to connect with other people. That's for me what is the basis of sort of like emotional resilience.
That's so powerful. I felt really quite emotional when you were talking about the kind words of even a stranger to a child, and how powerful that can be. And sometimes we go in our life and we don't even think we've made a difference, but you may have stopped someone becoming an alcoholic or a drug abuser or even an abuser themselves.
Your one small kind word, you can never know in the moment, and this is what I try and say to people, you can never know in the moment what your one small kind word or small kind deed, that's a seed, what will that grow into for somebody for the rest of their lives? You can't know that. So it's free to be kind, isn't it? It's free to say something, it's free to say something positive and kind. It's not hard.
Wow, it's so powerful, and that's just really, I don't know why, but it's really touched me. Thank you so much for sharing that, Siobhan. Sinjini, let's go over to you. Let's in India, so we're going back towards India. It's like the quickest way to get around the world, isn't it? I don't have to fly anymore. Sinjini, over to you.
Wow, I mean, I have learned so much already, and such pertinent and such close to heart subjects, and especially Siobhan, before I even say what I have in store for emotional resilience, I mean, what she said about what I think is denial. No, don't think about it. How we kind of promote a culture of denial, and how suppression is not at all the way. I'm frankly listening to each one of your stories, and also knowing personally what many of you have been going through over this time, last few weeks, as well as over the last few years. I'm humbled and I'm privileged, and I feel very grateful that I'm perhaps in a much privileged position from where I might, bring up whatever I'm going to talk about. But having said that, whatever happens in our tiny lives, they are big to us when it happens to us. I feel that, there are a number of things that worked for me to develop that muscle of emotional resilience. When I talk about it, I often, see myself portraying it in two ways. That is, one is the first aid, what you should do instantly to get out of that particular trap, that particular abyss of that moment, and to kind of, just push yourself out of that bottomless abyss. So what has come handy to me is really to realize that, we can try to look at it more objectively, because when it happens, it feels so big that it overwhelms. So one trick I had learned, which I apply very, very abundantly, almost weekly, if not daily in my life, is to just grab a pen and a paper and to write down what is worrying me and what can I do about it. So what is worrying me? Just put words to it, just put labels to it. And what can I do about it? It can be really random. It can be like superhuman. It might not be possible. But the very act of writing it down does something to whatever the neurology or the chemistry of my body. And it gives me some sort of objectivity. And now I know it's down on the paper for me. It's easier for me to handle. So it's down on the paper and it's no more a part of me. It is now out of my body. And talking of body comes the second thing that I want to talk about, which is something that took me many years and many thousands of hours of active practice of meditation, mindfulness. This is something that I learned really through a lot of rigor and hard work, that, essentially emotional resilience is all about emotions, right? And there's no good or bad emotions. The very resistance that we have towards bad emotions, oh my God, I'm depressed, I'm sad, it's so tragic, I'm so, so that judgment comes because we have labeled those emotions. And to realize that our bodies are really, emotions embodied. So this is actually one of the exercises I do very, very commonly when I teach classes in creative writing. Especially I do a module on writing the body, because I feel that it's very easy and it's very mediocre to say that he was angry, she was sad. you have to really show them the sensory details. And how better to know what to show than to feel it yourself and to know where it shows. So where does that emotion show up in your body? So this exercise that I do with my learners, and I really enjoy this part of my, the program on the creative writing, where I teach writing the body, where I tell them, where I actually visualize and lead them into kind of strong emotions, being very angry, being very disgusted, being very happy. And then I teach them to understand where in their body are they happy, where in their body are they sad, how does it feel like, a knot in the throat, a stone stuck in the heart, a heaviness, shoulders, weighing down. That is immensely powerful. Only if we learn to look at pain and emotions objectively, I think we will win half the battle. So yeah, that is what I had to talk about. Back to you, Johan.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Write it down. Find it in your body. How often do we ever really look at where those emotions are sitting? Sometimes you feel it. Sometimes you know exactly where it is. But really, are we conscious of it? And even that takes your mind away from the incident of actually what's going on in me. And thank you, Sinjini. And let's go over to Ratna, who's sitting in Milton Keynes in the UK. I'd love to hear your advice on this topic.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. Let me first say, emotional resilience is something that we should talk about more. We don't talk about enough at all, because when you think about it, we all are born. All our parents are so amazed when we're brought into this world and everything. But how long does it take before we're all packaged into not expressing emotions? And that's why we then, through life, have to build up emotional resilience as well. Did you know that the word resilience actually comes from a Latin word? I only know this because I studied Latin, from resilio. Do you know what it means? Bounce back. That's what we all have to do. But we come into this life and we all feel that, we have to face our fears on our own. We have to live with the shame that somebody says to us, like Siobhan was saying, with the kind words and the harsh words. We take them so personally as well. And we have to live with the guilt that we have. But how many people are really kind to us to say, you don't have to live with the shame. You don't have to live with the guilt. And even if somebody else can't be kind to us, if we plant that seed of being kind to somebody else, that helps us build our emotional resilience. It's just, when will that come back to us as well? Yeah, I think I've been through a lot. I think, like Celia said also, I've experienced quite a lot of the things that you asked, Susan, at the beginning. I'm right now experiencing a lot of those things as well. So even though I'm on this call, that does not mean everything's perfect. None of us have a perfect world. But what's our definition of a perfect world? Sinjini said this also, it's about flexing our muscle, about resilience. So when we think about, we have to fall to get to know ourselves better as well. And I think for me, nature is definitely one of those things. 2 mornings ago, it was really cold outside, and I went out at 6:35 or whatever in the morning, and the sun was just there. And I wrote a quote saying, each morning the sun rises despite what happened the day before. We think as humans, we are the only ones that have interactions to us. The sun is impacted every day by humans and environmental interactions. And it still rises the next day for us. And that's resilience. That's the resilience we have to find somehow. So how have I tried to do it? How am I still learning to do it? Because it's a journey. It's not something we just learn and then we're finished. No, because we will meet different people in our lives. We're not here to live life on our own. I've shut myself off so many times thinking, I have to fight this battle on my own. You're supposed to be a strong woman. You can do this on your own. No, we're humans. We are here, like our mentoring and soft skills says as well, we're here to walk each other home. So take that hand from somebody, hold it, and let them take you, and equally do that to somebody else as well. Nature, absolutely fantastic. The sad thing is we're all really scared of sitting on our own because we're scared to face our thoughts, our fears. But when we learn that we can go back and sit on our own in the same way we were born on our own as well, then we can let all the clouds, all the shadows disappear. And meditation for me has been a massive thing this year, without a doubt, because then as I take away all the layers of fears, the thoughts, the prison of thoughts that I'm trapped in, everything starts to become clearer, and a higher force is definitely out there. It's not about religion. Please don't take it like that. The universe is absolutely immense. The good and kind words that we've said to somebody else, they all build energy. That's how we build resilience, and finding people who are like-minded as well. Because sometimes we don't understand why we go to that person where, even though we're being bullied or we're being having the horrible things said to us, why do we do that? But we do have a power to change ourselves. So we have to practice those things. Practicing going for a walk, even if it's 30 minutes a day. It's staying consistent to do that. It's staying consistent to say, I will sit and watch that sun for 10 minutes. That's what I did the other day, watched it for 10 minutes. And most importantly is, don't be scared to know that you, all of us individually, have a moral compass. Because so many people will tell you you don't have a moral compass in your life, but we all have one. So we all have to either find someone who can help us find it, or we surround our people, ourselves, and help other people find their moral compass. Because when we're helping somebody else, we're actually healing our emotional self and finding our emotional resilience.
Wow, so much that you just said there. Oh God, like bam, bam, bam. So much knowledge and wealth. Thank you so much. But loving the bounce back like the sun, because it's what it's about, isn't it? And the fact that resilience actually means bounce back, even, it's amazing. I love it. Thank you for sharing. I'll just share my little take on this as well. So I think this year particularly has made a lot of people look at a lot of stuff, but over the years, as many of you have gone through a lot of that stuff that I mentioned at the beginning, what's helped me, I'm trying to narrow it down to maybe just three things. A lot of it perhaps is covered anyway. But the first thing, if you're really in that trauma, that real trauma is going on right now, the first thing that helped me was, this will pass. However you're feeling in that moment, it will pass. And the only thing you need to do right now is just keep breathing. Keep breathing, just stay in the present, just wait. If you can do nothing else, because it will. And the second thing, but you almost have to get to a certain point to be able to do it, is, can you find the benefit finder type thing? Can you find 3 advantages of what's going on? You know, I went through a real massive heartbreak last year. And at one point I'm like absolutely on the floor, the rug was taken and I'm down. But there was a part of me that knew that it was the best thing ever because he was a nightmare. It was the best thing ever because he was controlling. But I'm sad. But I could find the benefit. And it was the most bizarre experience of being down and sad, but knowing there was benefits in it. So if you can find a benefit, and if you can find one, you'll be able to find 3. So look for 3 advantages in anything that's going on. And the third thing, and this is something that I came across this year, is what can I control and what can I not control? What I can control, do it. Do it, stay consistent. As Ratner said, you know, do it, the little habits every day, stay consistent, life will change. What can I not control? What can I do there? And this one, it took, and if I just carry on the theme of heartache, you know, there was a point where I had to accept, and this is where Nidhi was coming from, about acceptance. And I actually physically wrote out affirmations as such with, I accept that I am single. I accept that I am not a mother. I accept, and these things were painful. These things I never wanted to accept in 20, 30 years of my existence. You know, I'm a bit older, but let's say it's 20 years, right? And, you know, I didn't want to accept it, but physically writing it down, and Sinjini, the power of writing it down, I agree with you, was making it real. And suddenly it was less traumatic, that I can accept it. And I did that for about a week. And then the following week, I was like, okay, can I push it to I like? So I went back to those affirmations. I like being single. I like being, you know, not a mother. I like being, and actually, I thought I'd do it for a week and then change it to I love. I did that for probably 2 days, and it started with actually, I love this. I love the silence in my house. I love not being, I love being free. And it was amazing that when you really tackle it, within a week and a half, you feel free. The situation hadn't changed, but this had. But you work on it every day because it's cyclic, isn't it? And then it might come back or something else hits you. But the 3 things that I just wanted to round up with where I was coming from, it was, this will pass, whatever you're going through. Find the benefit, find it. There will be one. And what can you control? And if you can control it, change it. And if you can't control it, learn to accept it, like it, and love it. So that was my little take on it. But I love these sessions. They're so powerful. And I'm hoping that this will reach out to some of you, because it certainly helped me. This year has been such a tough year for so many people. And if we can take these benefits that we've talked about, you know, Celia with her music, and I'd forgotten to dance, to be honest. I'd forgotten that I love dancing. And that's why I was asking you, alone or in a group? But alone, lockdown, we can do that. So dancing, music, connect with that bit of joy that's within you. Nidhi is so true. Like, connect and have faith in that power that's beyond ourselves, and get yourself to that acceptance. Siobhan, the kind words that we can leave other people with can change their lives, and we don't even know the power of your words. Sinjini, the power of the written word. You know, let's write it out. Let's find and explore what we are, and get it out on paper so it's not in your head. And Ratna, let's bounce back like the sun. Whatever hits you today, bounce up like that sun. The clouds might be in front of you some days, but you know the sun is still there, and you know it's capable of shining again. I just love each and every one of you. Let's open up the thing so you can come off mute. And I just want to know if anyone has any other little bits and pieces they would love to share, and maybe a small interaction now before we close up.
Shobhan, I want to say thank you to what you shared. I mean, it was so powerful, and it's so beautiful to, you know, it's not easy, one, to have the grace and the courage to say what you said, and also to break it down into achievable, actionable points. Like, really I mean, affirmations are something that we hear a lot about, but how you said it and how you identified and how you labeled it, I think I'm going to pick that up from today.
Thank you, Sinjini. Actually, that's something we could do. What is the one thing you will take from today? So, Sinjini, thank you for sharing that. Siobhan, what were you about to share?
I was just going to say, in terms of, and it kind of like, it goes back to what you were saying then, and it's I don't know whether everyone's aware of the Serenity Prayer that's used in AA and NA and all those sorts of like groups, but it applies to all of us, and you know, it basically says, it doesn't have to be God, whatever it is, but it's like, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I think if we do that, because sometimes we go after trying to change the things that are not in our control to change, and it's that learning to accept that some things aren't in your control, but some things are, and we don't always know the difference. So for me, when you look at the Serenity Prayer, I would start the other way around. Just grant me the wisdom to know the difference, so that I can spend my time controlling the things that I can and just leave the things that I can't. And that's the thing for me. And when you were talking, it reminded me of that, which is the basis of an awful lot of the work that happens within the sector that I work in.
That's made me tingle all through. Because I didn't, although I have heard that, I didn't relate that. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Celia, is there something you'd like to share or something you'll take from today?
Yeah, look, from Seabon's the words of kindness, that's a huge thing that really got to me. And one of the things through lockdown that our different friendship groups did, and because music seems to be such a big focus for me, was we were sharing songs. So people were finding a song that really hit them, and then they would send it on, and they always came at the most, perfect opportune time to hear those lyrics, and again the music uplifting. But also I think what was more was that someone stopped and thought to send it to myself or to others, and that's that taking that one little bit of moment of care to say, I hear you, I feel you, and I'm here, even if there was a bit of a distance. So that was a really beautiful aspect that has kept going since then, which is lovely, and I think we'll always keep going as far as that act of kindness with things. So yeah, there's lots of things all you ladies said that being first speaker was hard. It's like, oh, okay.
Thank you for stepping up to that.
There's so many different aspects, but brilliant. Now for Sinjini with the writing, that's one of the things we talk about in counselling, is writing it down, because when we have so much chaos going on in our brain is just zinging off. It's trying to control the situation. It's trying to work out, how do we put together and survive this, or control or boss a situation, a scenario. By the writing it down, you're saying to the brain, it's okay, I've got this. It's all on paper. You don't have to keep thinking. You just go and look at the paper, and then the mind calms a lot more. And Sinjini pretty well sort of said that was in her management of that. And I thought, yeah, that's really is a big thing, big takeaway. So thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nidhi, let's come over to you in India. Just share some thoughts with us.
There have been, for each one of us, we have, I think all of you have given me takeaways that are going to stay with me for time. Like when, about if we speak of kindness, it's a default application that is required. You just be kind. You don't know what the outcome is going to be, how it's going to help. That is one major takeaway. You don't need to know as to how is it going to help. But if you are kind, that is definitely going to help someone. So why do we need to look for reasons and justification of actions? If we know that we have to be kind at all times, it definitely has got, because that is how the cosmos works. Then, of course, Sinjini, when you said that you have to address pain very objectively, because it's a situation, it's happening in front of you, and when you have an objective response to it, you really get detached with the good or the bad, or the questions that are going to bog you down. But because you're objective, you are accepting the fact that what I am doing is what I'm in control of. What I'm not in control of is not it's not my area altogether. So that was another takeaway. And then, yes, Ratna, sun has to shine. It will shine despite the night before it. That was a wonderful sentence to use, and that is what we need. We live each day with that positive thought. And yes, Susan, I have 2 young children, and relationships are. I think relationships is what a mother also goes through. If it's a heartbreak, or if it's a wrong decision, or whatever, a mother also goes through along with their children. And it was such a consolation, or such a satisfaction to know that if things are meant to happen in a particular way, and if you're able to look at the positive side, it's how easy it becomes to accept things, and it also how easy it becomes to move on. And moving on is your only choice, and that is the best choice. It's not the only choice out of resignation. It's something that is the best choice that you need. So thank you, everyone. There are major takeaways that we're going to carry through.
Thank you so much. And Ratna, let's come over to you.
Yeah, so lots of takeaways. I think everybody's mentioned that. But what I'd like to say is anybody watching today as well as giving kind words, which I think is being brought up by all of us anyway, be kind to yourself. Okay, we all need to be learned to be kind to ourselves. That's how we build up our emotional resilience. And resilience, if we think about an athlete, when they win a major tournament, or someone does, an actor who does something amazing, how many falls do people have to have? But what we don't do well, what I'm still learning as well, is when we overcome one little bit of emotional resilience, like you said, Susan, write down your fears. Celebrate the fact that you actually wrote them down. Because the next time you come back, you've built that little bit of muscle memory, which helps that resilience go. So your baseline then isn't right from the bottom anymore. It starts from here. Then the next time it starts from here. So we have to learn to be kind to ourselves, and don't just keep it to yourself. You know, I know many of you on this call as well, and many have been there for me as well. But just to celebrate, as well as when you're down, to celebrate and pick up the phone and I say to Siobhan, hey Siobhan, I actually achieved this today. That's celebration. And unless we celebrate, our resilience doesn't get bigger. And that's the whole purpose, how we walk each other home as well. We're not here to do this on our own. And we have to be brave to reach out to somebody, and celebrating with somebody, even if it's not the biggest thing to them, don't make the assumption it's not the biggest thing to them, because it makes other people heartful, loving, when they see something beautiful that they think, wow, she actually achieved that, he actually achieved that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's what a wonderful session. And every time you talk about muscle, what I keep thinking is, you know, when you build your muscles and you pick up weights and you become stronger, you only become stronger because that muscle's tearing. So every time you're going through something, you may feel like something's torn within you, but know that it's healing stronger, and you'll get through that next thing, and it gets through and it gets through, and you're just building. So I'm going to round up now, and I just want to, for everyone who is out there and everyone on here, taking from what my takeout from this massively is what Siobhan had said, is if no one has ever told you, you are something amazing. You have something in you that you can go in, connect with, and shine in this world. You are capable of overcoming anything in your life. You are capable of stepping on that and going and teaching others and getting through it. So know that the universe is working in your favor. And if these are the only kind words you've ever heard in your life, know that you have something in you that is worth living for. And I would hope that each and every one of you join us again next Sunday, 6:30 India time, 1 o'clock UK time. All much love from all of us to all of you out there. Bye.